Welcome to our winter solstice event. Some of you have been with us in the past at the studio, and some of you might be new to our rituals. So I just want to sort of lay out how this may unfold. It's quite unique that we're going to be gathering in this way. So I'm just going to say a few words about the solstice, and then and after a few minutes, I'll hand it over to Kristi, who's in her home, and she'll welcome you and say a few words as well. And then it'll come back to me, and we'll have a short, sweet solstice practice. And then it will also go back to Kristi, who's going to take you into a deeper yin practice. And then and your shavasana, and then back to me for closing. So there's going to be a little bit of switching back and forth, and fingers crossed it all goes well. So if you read the newsletter that came out or the event, you might have set up for yourself a solstice altar. And if you didn't, it's perfectly fine. And if you're called to that, you can still do it. So we are focusing on the elements as part of our practice. And Kristi is going to take you much deeper into the elements with her yin practice. I just wanted to share a little bit about the altar that I created. And everybody's altar is different because we're bringing forth something that connects and means something to us. So a candle for fire, the element of fire. And if you don't have anything else, a candle is nice to have for a solstice practice. And for water, I brought forth this oyster shell with pearls inside because I'm very drawn to the coast and to the water there and to the oyster shells. And the boughs, the greenery for earth, and the bamboo bowl made from the earth. And of course, Bear, he travels with me. And then for air, I brought forward the sound that travels through air of our chime. So I wanted to just let you know that's how I set mine up. And so the fifth element that Kristi will bring in is ether, but I transformed that for myself to the ancestors. And to honor the ancestors, I brought this image of my mother, who passed on the solstice 10 years ago. So it seems really relevant to me to honor all of these beautiful elements and also bring in the elements, the essence of ancestor, as the big, great wheel has turned to solstice, which means the sun stands still, this stillness that we can drop into, this place of the north, this place of our ancestors. So I welcome you with a big heart, and we have perhaps felt a little disconnect this last year, but just know that we are connected in this way, in a heart way. And I look forward to practicing with you and our physical practice once you come back to me after Kristi has an opportunity to greet you.
I think if I just talk, will it come over to me?
Yes.
Oh, it's not, for some reason it's not switching. I just spotlighted myself. I'll take me off afterwards. Hi, everyone. Happy winter solstice. Yay, I see some of you. Hi. Yeah, feel free to turn on your gallery at any point while I'm chatting, and especially in the beginning here and at the end. Oh, look at everyone. Yay, good to see everyone. Now everyone's turning it on. This is awesome. Oh, I'm so happy to see all of you. Oh, look at everyone. Just want to say, I'm gonna just go through here really quick and see everyone. Oh, there's some people I see every Monday night. Oh, hi. Hi, Bianca, good to see you. Yay, okay. Welcome, everyone. There's so many of you. I'm so glad. As a lot of you know, Mo and I have been doing this for a long time, and Mo had already said that. And part of the practice that I'm going to take you into later is just a deep yin. So those of you that are really wanting to have more of like a little bit of a mental piece to this, I would, if I were you, if you have a moment and you want to grab a piece of paper and a pen, one of the things that Mo and I have done every year for the solstice was we'd have a burn bowl and then we'd burn it at a solstice fire. And so some of you might have your own little fires there. Some of you might have an outdoor fire pit or a fireplace inside. Or you might be like me, I have a fake fire. But I'm gonna burn a couple things just like in a little can outside. So as we move through that portion of the yin, I'm gonna be asking some questions of inquiry, and I'm gonna be talking about things that we might wanna be ready to let go of and things that we wanna plant. And so writing some stuff down, writing some intentions, and as we're doing some of that deeper work, things might come to heart and mind. And so you might want to have something to write on it. It doesn't have to be anything special. You can just have it to burn. And yeah, so that'll be what we'll do. As far as the yin goes, you're going to probably want 2 blocks. If you don't have blocks, don't worry about it. But a bolster or a big pillow or a couple pillows, hair is falling apart, or just some blankets to give yourself some props. And it's not important to do everything perfectly, especially what we're doing the yin. The yin is about stilling and slowing down. So if you can get those props and that paper as you're setting up your altars, getting things situated, that would be awesome. Just to give you a little brief, I have a couple altars in my house, but I have some feathers for the air, a gigantic pine cone for the earth, and then I have a vase with water for my water, and I have a candle for fire. And then we'll talk about ether a little bit later. So welcome, everyone. It's so good to see all of you, those of you who are turning on your cameras. I see, hi, Amber and Hazel, and animals running around. And you know, we can't get together in person, but it's still wonderful to see families getting together. There's Lisa and Ron, and gathering. So thank you so much for being here. I'm going to switch it back over to Mo.
Am I on? All right. So again, welcome back. Thank you, Kristi. Kristi and I have been dreaming of doing another solstice. This is not quite what we have imagined, but I'm so happy that we get to do this together. So the solstice, this winter solstice, this pause. And again, Kristi asked you to get some props for my practice that I'm going to go lead with you or move with you. A blanket would be handy and a couple blocks, but again, if you don't have blocks, not to worry. It's going to be a very slow-mo moving practice and available to everybody. So that's said. One of the things that I like to bring into the solstice practice is some imagery around the breath. So the solstice breath, in fact. If you can think about the wheel of the earth, of the seasons, that when we arrive at this moment, it's the end of the exhale. And this is just a natural pause right here. That moment of stillness where the door is ajar into a house somewhere, we don't know, into the door inside. So the door is ajar, it's in stillness. So here we are in the still point. And then when we start to inhale, it's the increase of light that we're going to be beginning to receive. So it's an inhale that takes us into the fullness of the inhale into the summer solstice, where we're holding that breath, that prana, that chi, that breath. There's a pause there too, solstice. And then we start to slow exhale the journey through fall, and land it right back here, the end of the exhale. So if you would, think about that, and we'll breathe that way in just a moment. But I also want to talk about sort of the cosmic things that are happening right now where Saturn and Jupiter are aligned, and this hasn't happened in this way for about 800 years. And so I love to think about the stars and how they relate to us. And it can give us a sense of being, have a place in the universe. And there's an ancient mantra that's so simple but so sweet. It's above as below. So above and below, we are a link in that chain of that energy above and below. So as we move through our practice, we might even bring in that imagery of above and below, and that we are a chain in the being of this. I love that. Okay, so let's start our solstice breath. And you can do this laying down on your back, or maybe sitting upright, whatever you prefer. And perhaps close your eyes or gaze softly down. Full exhale, let's do that with a ha. Here we are, winter solstice. And so the inhale, begin to breathe in and expand all the way to the summer solstice, till that still point right there. And then exhale, slow and easy. Take that curve around the fall equinox. Make your way right back to this moment of stillness. So without me talking so much about it, let's do that for about 3 full inhales and exhales. So again, inhale. And when you're ready, full exhale. Drop into the stillness. So even though we're spread far apart, we are together with this breath. As we move and breathe, we are together. So let's begin to transition into child's pose. So whether you're sitting or laying down, go ahead and make your way. Hands and knees. And if you like a little cushion for your knees, go ahead. So take your hips slowly back. Spread your fingers. Release your head. And as you honor the earth and feel that deep turning inward, again, perhaps notice the rise and the fall of your breath. This place that we return to every year, this dark turning inward. And what better way, what better gesture than Balasana, child's pose. So as we rest here, perhaps on the inhale, you can lift up ever so slightly. And on the exhale, deepen your connection to the earth, turning inward into darkness. So again, the inhale, we rise. And the exhale, we deepen and honor the journey in. One more. Nice full inhale, lifting slightly up. And exhale, sinking inward. Pull yourself up to table, hands and knees. And when you're ready, again, catch that wave of breath. As we inhale, rise up and arch into a cat. Expand as if you're pulling your heart up between your shoulder blades. On the exhale, let the heart melt. Pull the heart forward. Cow spine. So let's continue with this for just a few breaths. The inhale, we expand into the cat back. And the exhale, pull your heart forward. Inhale, cat back. Push through the earth with your fingers. Lift your heart towards the sky. On your exhale, pull your heart through the gate of your shoulders. Exhaling, shining your light out into the world. From here, yogi's choice. Tuck your toes under, reach your hips up, press back into downward facing dog, or perhaps you would prefer sinking back into child's pose. Follow the rise and fall of your body. And if you're in downward facing dog, come back down onto your knees. If you're in child's pose, come up onto your knees. Walk your hands towards you and step your right foot forward. Nice, easy, low lunge. Fingertips on the mat or on your blocks. Press to the top of your foot in the back to ground you as your fingers reach down through your floor and into the earth. And perhaps notice the quietude. Even the earth is asleep. The leaves have fallen. Darkness is outside. So as you push into the floor on your blocks, bring your hands up to stack on your thigh bone. Press again through the top of your back foot and release your hands as you're shining out through your heart. Inhale as above. Exhale as below. A little bow. Push with your feet. Come back up. Inhale as above. Exhale as below. One more. Inhale as above. Catch some of that stardust up there. Exhale to your heart. As below. Touch the earth. Tuck your back toes under. Inhale the knee up and lengthen both of your legs on your blocks or on the floor. Stay for a moment. We're not in a hurry. And slide your right foot back to your left. I'm going to kick these socks off because they're cute, but they're not very practical. Stay with me. Downward facing dog or child's pose. Okay. So you can tell this is live, not recorded. Bend your knees, swoop your tail up. Find a moment, again, to connect to the earth. Bring your knees softly down. Come to stand on your knees. And again, this time take your left foot forward into a bit of a low lunge. Use your blocks if you like. Push into the earth. And as you come up, lean a little forward. Lift your belly. Release your hands. Press through both feet. Inhale as above. Exhale as below. Push through your feet. Inhale as above. Exhale as below. Last one. Inhale, reach up into the stars, and exhale, bring it home to your heart and connect to the earth. Tuck your back toes under, lift your back knee, lengthen your front leg. Walk your hands to the inside of your left foot and walk your feet parallel. Wide-legged forward fold. Grab your blocks, bring them with you, or just your fingertips. And as you exhale, bend your right knee. Come back through center and to the other side. So nice and easy shifting of the energy from one side to the other. And we're not in a hurry. When you're ready, come back to center and walk or hop your feet in. Heel toe. Forward fold, Uttanasana. Drop your tailbone. Crisscross your wrists, palms up. Push down through the floor and rise up. Exhale to your heart. Take a moment. Stand on your mountaintop, Tadasana. Clear skies above. Release your right hand to your right thigh. Extend up with your left. And let your hand slide down. A little bit of crescent. Draw your front body in. Press evenly through your feet. Inhale up. And exhale to the other side. So in this way, we can also attune ourselves to the cycles of the moon as we exhale into crescent and inhale full moon and exhale to the other side. So again, inhale, there's your full moon. Exhale, waxing moon. Inhale, come up. And exhale, waning moon. Let's come back to center. Scoop some of that stardust back home to the heart and walk your feet wider apart. Turn your toes out a little bit and bring your hands to your hips. So we'll do that same sort of bending that we did with our hands on the floor, but this time we'll do it from a standing position. So lift your arms up. Inhale as above. And exhale as below. So a couple more like that. Nice and light. Inhale up. Exhale below. Inhale, we rise. And exhale below. Come back to center. Bend your knees. Lift your pubic bone a little. Come into your goddess stance. And bring your arms up, your cactus arms. Press through your feet. Come up. Star. Exhale, goddess. Right hand to the right thigh. Reach with your left fingertips. Perhaps point to that imaginary Jupiter, Neptune conjunction right there in the southwest. We're pointing. And then push. Inhale up. Star. Exhale, dip. Left hand to left thigh and point perhaps to another star. So let's go. Inhale, star. Exhale, shooting star. There's Neptune right there. There's Saturn. Push, inhale, star. Exhale, shooting star. One more. Inhale, star. This time, come all the way down with your hands on your thighs to resting goddess. That's for Crystal. Okay, dip your right shoulder on the exhale. Inhale back to center. And exhale, dip your left shoulder. So move with your breath. Inhale, float up. Exhale, drop down. Again, inhale. And exhale. One more. Back to center on the inhale. Drop a little deeper. Push with your feet, rise up. Bring the back of your hands together. Inhale up. Back into your star. Exhale, release. Shoulder roll. Awesome. Walk or hop your feet in for just a moment. Again, stand on your mountaintop with your heart wide open, your feet grounded, your head buoyant. So you are a conduit between earth energy and the cosmos up there. Okay, let's make our way back down to the mat, nice and slow, no hurries. So let's do that through Utkatasana chair pose. That's my favorite. Float your arms up and your shoulders down. Now sit back in your chair, pull your hips back, draw your belly in, and turn your palms up like you're ready to receive this beautiful gift from the cosmos. As above, And then exhale, touch the earth as below. Lengthen into your forward fold. Inhale halfway. And exhale, return. So again, inhale halfway. And exhale, return. Last one. Inhale. This time, cup your calves with your hands. Bend your knees a little bit more. Take a moment, tuck your chin. And tip over, find the floor. Bring one knee at a time to the mat. Shift to one hip or the other. And come to a seated position. So if you have a blanket or a bolster, it'll be handy. As we come to sit, in whatever way you like, reach your fingers out to the side, connect to the earth. So again, as we inhale, above, as below, exhale. Inhale, as above, exhale as below. Imagine that conduit of energy flowing through your body. Exhale. This time, float your arms up, palms this way. Exhale, rotate your heart to the right. Bring your left hand across, prop yourself up. This is the turning inward. Stay with your breath. Unwind, come back to center, and exhale to the other side. Inhale back to center. Let's extend out through the left leg. So many of you know me, and especially any of our students from the teacher training, know that one of my most favorite positions in the body is called stargazer. So it seemed appropriate, since we're connecting to above and below, to maybe play a little bit with that pose. There's lots of ways to do it. So we'll extend out through the left leg, and you just have to come up onto your right knee and open up. Draw your tailbone towards your heel, rotate your heart as if you're looking up into the stars. And then exhale, come down nice and slow, and sweep your hand past, point towards your toes. So let's do that again. Bring your hand back, open up, reach your heart towards the stars, and then exhale, nice and easy flow. Sit back down and bring your hand towards your foot, just towards. So last one, inhale up and rotate, open your heart. Exhale, come down. Come back to sit, and we'll change out the legs. So we have now the right leg extended, the left heel's in, we'll start here. And then we'll come up onto the knee and bring the foot behind us, like Kristi likes to say, like a kickstand. Okay, you have your block beneath your left hand or on the floor. Lengthen your tailbone. Extend your arm up and a little behind. Rotate your heart. Look at the stars. Exhale, come down. Sweep past your knee over towards your foot. And then inhale, come round. Open your heart. Exhale, return. As above, as below. So inhale up. And then exhale, final one, come down. And come to sit. Bring your feet forward. Move any props away. And lower yourself back down onto the floor. Hug your knees in. And do a gentle rock forward and back. Release your feet one at a time. Let's reach up with the left leg and flex the left foot. Rotate your left thigh and come into eye of the needle pose. Stay with it, stay with your breath. You can do a little sway here if you like. Keep your foot on the floor, on a block, or bring your knee towards your chest. And as you linger there, I want to remind you of that deep holding that might be there in your hips. This primal muscle where we hold that fight, flight, freeze, like our ancestors, all the way down. So if you can think back, so far back, to the 9th set of grandparents behind you. That's a lot of people. It comes out to be 2,048 people if you go back 9 grandparents that brought you to this moment. Think about that. Think of all of the stories. So when you're ready, come out of that pose, the eye of the needle pose on this side, and switch it out and go to the other side. So as you come into this deep place of holding the pose with your breath, perhaps reconnect again to that ancient lineage. All the stories, the love stories, the hardships, all those people that came together to bring you to this moment. And release your eye of the needle pose. Bring your feet back to the floor. Sway the knees a little to the left and right. And take the sway to one side or the other. Rest on your side. Fold your arms, create a pillow for your head. Bring your knees up a little closer. And take the top of your foot to the arch of your bottom foot. So you feel this connection all the way down. Take a nice, full, sweet breath. And when you're ready, extend your top leg. Take your top hand to the floor. Spread your fingers. Rotate your heart. So again, there's this honoring as we rotate the heart towards the earth. And then we push away and come up and make our way back to a seated pose. Cross-legged is fine. And if you also like to do variations of hero's pose, you could straddle a block and come back to your seat. Okay, palms down for just a moment. And then open up. Above, as below. Release your hands. Inhale, as above, as below. One last time, release your hands. Inhale, above, and exhale below. And pause there and notice your place in the universe, this link in the chain of being one with the pulse of life with stillness. And release your hands. All right, thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Kristi now. She's going to lead you through a sweet yin practice, and then I'll see you again at the end. So thank you.
Hi, everyone. So you might as well just kind of plug my microphone on where you are. There was a power outage, so I'm glad to see most of you are still on here. So one of the things I wanted to bring to mind when we're down here is we're going to go into these elements. So one of the things that I love that Mo does so beautifully is take us through movements, and we're wielding our mind towards the movements so that we can start to like have a better place for our mind as we move into the deeper practices. So the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through each of these various elements that are going to be tied to a yin pose. So the yin pose that I wanted to choose first was a forward fold. Now there's a couple forward folds. I specifically wanted to work with the hamstrings or the backs of the legs and the back body. The very first element that we're going to work with is the earth elements. So I've got my pine cone here. And the earth element in yoga is going to rule the first chakra and the feet and the legs. And so we're going to work with the hamstrings. And then I'm going to go a little bit further into the earth element. So take a moment and set up. The posture that I was thinking of was Paschimottanasana. And the reason why I like to use a bolster or a pillow is I like to place it between my legs and prop up the opposite end with a block. So I have a little bit more support here for the forward fold. Now, some of you, this is going to be way too deep. So you might do legs up the wall. That's a forward fold. Anything where your hips are in flexion and we can get a little stretch to the hamstrings. Some of you might like wide-legged forward fold, which is you taking your legs in a really wide stance. Okay, and you can do that same thing with the block. Place it under the front of the bolster there. Okay, so when you're ready, come into your wide-legged forward fold. And I'm going to stay upright so I can guide you through a few moments here. I'm going to get my gallery screen back on so because some of you left your videos on, I can kind of get an idea of who's in what pose when you're there. One of the things I miss about teaching in person is being able to see when people are in their poses. You don't have to turn your video on, but if you want to, you're more than welcome to. So once you have your, and then another, just kind of anything that's forward folding and stretching either the back body or the hamstrings, or getting into, you can do one at a time. I can tell you when the halfway point's going to be. You can bend one leg and do Janushirashasana. Okay, so once I see there's a little bit of settling, I'll go ahead and begin the timer. So if you have your paper nearby and you want to have just anything to write down, that could be helpful. Otherwise, you can write it down later. So I see some of you are settling into your forward folds. And those of you that just joined, I know there was a power outage. So if you're just joining, we're doing a wide-legged or Paschimottanasana forward fold over a bolster. And I'll tell you when the halfway point is. I'm going to start the timer now. So those of you that are turning one cheek to one side, you can switch to the other side at the halfway moment. Okay, for those of you that are doing one leg at a time, like Janushirashasana, I'll tell you once again when that halfway point is. Okay. So we're focusing first on this earth elements. When you look in the Mahabharata or the Bhagavad Gita, there are 5 brothers that are these main characters in these Hindu epics. The 5 brothers represents the 5 elements or the 5 lower chakras. We're going to focus on the first chakra here. And this first chakra is the earth element. It's at the base of your pelvis. So in your forward fold, bring your attention to the base of your pelvis, which is between your pubic bones and your tailbone, as well as your 2 sitting bones, your ischial tuberosities. This is the color red, and it represents the earth. So when we look back at this past solstice or this past cycle, and we bring into mind Saha Devi, he's the first sun that represents the earth. Saha Devi also represents restraint, and I'll go deeper into that. When we're looking at this last year and things were kind of shifted in a major way. We look at the earth element, and the question we ask ourselves is, where have I felt ungrounded or unsupported? And what basic needs was I able to meet? And what felt like maybe you were overdoing it? Maybe I was overdoing it. So the restraint that Saha Devi represents is not attaching to all these material items and getting more and more and more, which is what our culture likes to teach us. Go ahead and switch your cheek to the other side, or switch legs if you're doing an asymmetrical forward fold. But we ask ourselves, what is it that I need so that I can feel supported, stable, strong, and grounded? How might that be different than what you thought you needed? And what might you be able to let go of moving forward into the next cycle? In order to feel nourished and grounded like the earth element, the way the earth is nourishing you now, holding you, this solid, supported structure. Notice the way that you are in contact with the earth in this moment. The simplicity of the ground and the elements beneath you. We just have about another minute left in this pose. So what actions are required in you so that you might feel more strong, more nourished, more grounded, and supported moving into your next cycle? There doesn't have to be an answer, but what you might consider is what you did not need and what you might be able to let go of, or even gift away to someone else in need. Take 2 more cycles of breath in this shape. Now, before you come out, take one more moment here to bring your attention and awareness to Muladhara chakra. He represents the first chakra, the color red, the earth. Saha Devi, the first of the 5 brothers, or the youngest of the 5 brothers, the Pandava brothers, who symbolizes restraint that's required. So there's a mindfulness in our actions as moving forward in what we need for support. What is enough? What is too much? In your own time, start to rise up. And you can bend one knee at a time as you come out of your wide-legged forward fold, or your narrow forward fold, or some forward fold. And then just take a moment to check inward. Close your eyes. If there's anything you'd like to write down, give yourself that moment to write down anything that might have come up. Now, the next posture is particularly focused on the psoas. So I chose 2 poses that you could choose one of. One of them is a very simple posture. One of them is pigeon, which is what a lot of people love. So I'll show that one first. So you'll take, let's do the left knee forward first, right leg back. Okay, and then I like to go over a bolster and keep my outer hip supported here. So this is the first option for the psoas stretch. The leg that is getting the psoas stretch is going to be your right leg. But what the great thing about pigeon is you also get a butt stretch too on that left side. For those of you where you have knee issues or knee troubles, the psoas is easily stretched in a very simple pose on your back. This is my favorite PT, Jeff Pally, taught me this one. So come on to, if you're doing this one, you'd come onto a block with your sacrum, and your right leg is the side we're going to stretch. So you would hug your left knee in, just kind of like your left knee forward in pigeon, and you'd extend your right leg straight. Okay? And then I'm kind of surrounded by pillows here, but then you would reach your right leg forward as you take your left knee back. You can hold on to the front of your shin or behind your thigh. And once I see that most people are settled, I'm going to go ahead and begin. And this is a asymmetrical pose, so there's two sides. So we have the pigeon on one side, left knee forward, right leg back. Okay, or you have the psoas stretch on your back, hips up on a blanket, a pillow, or a block. Left knee into your chest, right leg straight. If there's any questions, feel free to send a chat. Okay. Now, I see most people are settled. So once we ask ourselves, where have I felt unsteady or ungrounded? What's required in order to feel grounded, to feel more stable and supported in this next cycle? That's the earth. We move on to the water element, which is in the center of the pelvis, the color orange. This is the Svadhisthana chakra. And one of the five brothers that is the twins with Sahadevi, one of the other youngest, is Nakula. Nakula represents adherence to Dharma. So what is your Dharma? Everyone's favorite question. So as we move into this posture and settle, you might start to ask yourself, what brings you joy? What lights you up? They can be the most simple things, and that's where I would ask to start anyone that I was asking that question. The birds chirping in the morning, that first cup of coffee. You'd start with these small things that bring you joy and start going bigger. But as this is a season of letting go, and we're looking at the water element, and if our adherence to Dharma is often related to what brings us joy, what lights us up, you might also ask yourself, what has made me feel dark? What has taken away my joy? Or if there's time is the issue there, how might I find more time for joy? What might I let go of in order to find that, to have time for that? We just have a few more moments on this side. We look at the water element and we know that the water element moves. It takes the path of least resistance. So when we are connecting with our life purpose, our Dharma, we ask, how can I move through the world with the least resistance? Okay. In your own time, in your own way, start to make your way to the other side. So if you're in pigeon, you might go through a child's pose first. If you're on your back, you might simply bring both knees into your chest for a moment, kind of like an inverted child's pose, and do a little circling with your knees. Then when you're ready, we'll switch to the other side. So you'll keep your right knee into your chest. If you're on your back, extend your left leg straight for the psoas stretch side 2. This is a fabulous stretch to include into your everyday if you sit at a desk. If you're in pigeon, it's going to be your right knee forward, left leg back. So you get that psoas stretch on the other side, but you also get a bonus glute stretch for pigeon. We stretch the psoas, and it is pretty immediately soothing to the nervous system. Many of us have had quite a relationship with our nervous system throughout this last year, this last cycle. And so as we work towards planting seeds for the next cycle, more prepared, we include now those questions with Earth. How might I move forward in a more grounded, more steady way? And how might I move through the world, flow more easily, so for your burn bowl, letting go of the things that make you feel ungrounded or unsteady. That could be anything from rushing from one thing to the next, having too packed of days. How might I let go of the things that stand in the way of lighting me up? And as you bring your attention for these last few moments into the center of your pelvis, once again, seeing the color orange, Svadhisthana chakra, the water element. Take just a couple more rounds of breath here. Even send your breath into the center of your pelvis as though you're trying to nourish the water element in you. Sahadevi represents restraint that is required for the support that you need. Not enough or not too much, but enough. Nakula is representing that adherence to Dharma. So when you're ready, take a deep inhale in. Big HA exhale out, making the sound of the ocean. And then go ahead and slowly start to make your way out. Once again, if you're on your back, hug your knees into your chest. And if you're in pigeon pose, come into child's pose for a brief moment. You might notice now the relationship with the first two chakras, red and orange, Muladhara, Svadhisthana, earth and water, support and joy. So now we're moving on to one of the most important characters in the Mahabharata and the main character in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna. So this is going to move up to our Manipura chakra, the color yellow, or the golden blazing sun. This is going to be above your belly button, below your lowest ribs. So we're going to be doing a twist. And one of my favorite twists, or you can do a more simple twist. So the first one, I'm going to do the most simple one. If you like to be on your back for your yin poses, I would place a bolster or a block to your left side. Hug your right knee in and twist. Take your right knee over to your bolster. Try to keep both shoulder blades on the ground. This is a very simple twist. And you'll bring your attention to your solar plexus region. This is the Manipura chakra. So once again, we're going to twist to the left. So it'll be right knee in, and you'll twist to the left. Stack your right hip over your left hip. Get both shoulder blades on the ground. Okay, so your shoulder blades stay stable on the ground, and your hips are what rotate to the left. The other option, I know some of you, this is your favorite. It's one of mine as well. We're going to continue to twist to the left. You would have the bolster, and just pick one or the other. If it's hard for you to see or it's hard for you to translate video yoga, I would do that first one. Okay, the second one is you place the bolster against your sacrum, and you're going to take your knees wide, feet wide, and point your knees to the left. So I'm turning everything to the left here, and then I'm going to move the bolster up against my outer right hip. Or I'm sorry, this is my outer left hip. Sorry about that. Then you're going to move your upper body. So your hips are now pointing to the left, and your chest is going to rotate towards the back and the floor. So you inhale, lengthen through your spine, exhale, rotate your chest and fold. And you can do that a couple times. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Hips are still pointing to the left, and now your chest is pointing towards the floor. And if you have your bolster, you can hug it and place either your right or your left cheek on the bolster. Okay. And we'll be here for a couple minutes, not too long. Okay. So if there's any questions about that, again, the one on the floor, right knee in, twist to the left, up, knees flop to the left, and you're rotating your torso. So notice in this twist, one thing stays stable, the other thing rotates. If you have any questions, feel free to chat in the box and I'll answer it. So we're moving into, I'm going to get the timer started here in just a moment. So we're moving into Arjuna. Arjuna is the most important character in the Bhagavad Gita because Arjuna represents the biggest challenge of the human condition. In fact, Arjuna, there's a translation, Raju, which is part of Arjuna. Raju is translated as rope or bondage. And Na, which is the end of Arjuna, Na represents free, or it's translated to free. So Arjuna's name means free of bondage or free from the rope. And the reason why he's so important is because he's got to have this huge battle. He has to start it with 1,000 cousins. And the 1,000 cousins represent all the 1,000 things that will take you out of the present moment. All the 1,000 things that will take you off the path of yoga to presence. So see, this is a huge battle because the battle of the mind is constant and nonstop. So Arjuna represents fire, the element of fire. So bring your attention to the fire in your solar plexus, the color of the blazing sun, and send your breath awareness there. So Arjuna represents liberation of thoughts that bring peace. So we want to liberate us from the thoughts that bring us anything but the present moment, anything but peace. So oftentimes this requires a big commitment to staying present. And there's a quote I want to read. It says, "You cannot be free unless you have burned the seeds of past actions in the fire of wisdom and meditation." I'm going to say that again. You cannot be free unless you have burned the seeds of past actions in the fire of wisdom and meditation. Mo and I's teacher often talked about this quote and how important it is that we use fire. The fire meaning the fiery attention and the fiery commitment that it takes to return again and again to the present moment. And if you plant a seed that has been burned, nothing will grow. So what this is referring to is that there is an action that causes you harm or a thought that causes suffering. It is required that you need wisdom and meditation and the practice of presence, which is what yoga is all about, in order to burn those seeds. So what kind of commitments is required here so that you might stay on the path and burn the seeds, the ones that aren't serving you? You might think of it as, what seeds did I plant too many of in my garden, and how might I make changes to that? Take another round or two of breath here. Now when you're ready, slowly switch to the other side. So if you're upright and you're doing the one that's twisting your upper body, come into a staff pose for just a moment. Okay, if you're on your back, and you were twisting to the right or to the left, come onto your back and take your legs straight up to the sky so that your whole spine is feeling pressed against the earth. And just take one round of breath here. And then switch to the other side. So left knee in, and exhale to the right. Okay, or if you're upright and you're doing the twist over the bolster, take your feet and knees wide, flop your knees to the right, and then pull the bolster up against your right hip. Inhale, lengthen through your spine, twist. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, twist. Okay. And at any point in time, any inspiration of something to write down, you can write it down, something that you want to let go of. So we've looked at actions with the earth element, things that aren't causing or creating support or nourishment. What can we let go of there? The things that don't bring us joy, what can we let go of there? And fire is about the mental piece and the mental aspects. What thoughts are not serving you? What thoughts are causing you harm? And in order for us to feel liberated from those thoughts, we practice the practices of yoga, meditation, self-awareness, self-study, commitment to the present moment. We can look at the inquiring mind. So instead of leaving the mind to itself to go into the monkey mind, thought after thought after thought, the mind burns like fire. In order to destroy ignorance or the darkness of ignorance, we burn the thoughts that no longer serve us. We burn the thoughts that bring us down. So which thoughts can we be mindfully aware of that we can burn the seeds of so they will not grow in this upcoming cycle? Again, keeping your attention and your awareness on the Manipura chakra, color yellow, the element of fire. We just have a few more moments here. We spent the most amount of time learning about Arjuna because Arjuna represents our own struggle. Ancient yogis knew our struggle with the mind even years and years and years ago. So you are not alone. Okay, take a full inhale in and a complete exhale out. And start to consider moving back to center. So if you're on your back, come back right upright with your knees to your chest this time. Okay, and if you're seated upright, okay, you can cross your legs and we'll get set up for the next one. So the next posture is a chest opener. It is about the heart. So we're going to move up to the heart. My favorite chest opener is supported fish pose. And I like to do this in Baddha Konasana. I think my altar is in the way. So you can take your feet together, knees wide, and place blocks underneath of your knees. And then this bolster or your pillow or a couple rolled up blankets or rolled up towels can do this really nicely. You're going to place these underneath of your shoulder blades. And then I like to take another pillow or a rolled up blanket underneath my head and arms out to cactus arms, which are these arms. cactus arms. So this is about the heart, the chest. Okay, and then those of you that want to have a more intense chest opener, okay, or you have a pretty open chest as it is, you can take your blocks to the medium heights or the highest heights. One block will go under each shoulder blade. And you can support your head with your hands to get a armpit stretch as well. So it's a little stretch in the rotator cuff as well as the chest. And we'll be here for just a couple minutes. So you're going to want to choose something that you can be in for a little while. And I know that many of you probably only have 2 blocks. However, if you have 3, a third one can go under your head there. So I'm going to just kind of, just a chest opener here. I'm going to get the timer started. So we've moved on now to the 4th element. So I'm going to incorporate, this is, the 4th element is air. And I want to incorporate some pranayama here. This is called the 3-part breath. There's 3 parts: the deep low belly, the diaphragm, and the base of the throat or the top of the chest. So once you get settled into your chest opener, your heart opener, we're going to go through these 3-part breath together. So inhale all your breath in and let an HA exhale out. Then take in a sip of breath just into your deep low belly. Pause. Then take in more breath and inhale to your diaphragm. Pause. And then fill up the rest of your breath until you can't sip up any more air that gets to the base of your throat. Pause. And then on your exhale, it's like you're blowing out a candle. So make a circle with your lips and imagine you're blowing out a candle, and it's like sometimes the same sound as the pressure chamber breath. Exhale all your breath out. And then you'll start over. Those of you that need an extra breath in between, go for it. Take an inhale breath and an exhale breath, and then start over. So again, it's inhale, deep low belly. Pause. Diaphragm. Pause. All the way up to the base of your throat. Pause. And then when you're ready to exhale, you can hold a little longer if you need to. Start to exhale through your mouth, slowly exhaling all the breath back out. And notice how it travels from your throat, heart, belly. When all your breath is out, either start again or take an additional breath in between. And I'm going to lead one more time, but you'll keep doing it. Inhale, deep low belly. Pause. Diaphragm. Pause. All the way to the base of your throat. Pause. When you're ready to exhale, exhale through the mouth. Now continue this breathing exercise while I go into Bhima, the 4th brother. Bhima represents prana, breath, the heart center. It is said that controlling the breath can destroy all tendencies of the mind. This was demonstrated in the Mahabharata, that after the Bhagavad Gita, after Arjuna started the battle with his 5 brothers, it goes on to say that Bhima is the one that actually destroys the 1,000 cousins. That he himself is who destroys the 1,000 cousins. So what's symbolic here is that breath control, pranayama, is a powerful enough tool to destroy all tendencies of the mind. And breath also brings a sense of oneness that we all share and that we all are connected to. So as you're looking at this past year, especially this past year, and the ways that you were disconnected, how were you still connected to those around the globe? How are you influenced or influencing others, impacting others? When we feel supported enough, and when we know how to bring ourselves joy, and we stay committed into that fiery commitment, burning the seeds that only cause harm and trouble, we can then turn our focus, our love, our compassion to others who we are not separate from. Take just a few more rounds of breath here in your chest opener. And the last pose is Shavasana. So if you're happy where you are, you can come out. But I think it's wonderful to move the bolster that's behind the heart, behind the backs of your knees, or taking legs up the wall. So if you have an eye pillow, you can grab an eye pillow or a sock or something to put over your eyes, but bring your hands down at your sides, palms facing up. Or if it feels more comfortable, place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. So just shifting from the heart elements, Bhima, representing air, the Anahata, the color green chakra, the heart. And we connect to that through pranayama, breath control. And we move on to the final element, which is ether, space. So as you set up for your Shavasana, the last brother is Yudhisthira. Yudhi, how was that described? Forget what Yudhi means. Oh yes. Wrote this down. Oh, indestructible. So Yudhisthira is translated as undisturbed or indestructible. So when we come into Shavasana, corpse pose, this is symbolic of the end of our human cycle. And ether, just like Yudhisthira, remains undisturbed by the violent forces of nature and humankind. So as we transcend to our higher self through meditation and Shavasana, we are reminded of our own unchanging, indestructible state. So when Mo brought in her ancestors, or for those who have passed, we bring those people to our altar because their spirit is indestructible. So we create space for space. And even in the night of the solstice, which is tonight, we think of this time to be united with space and all things that space holds, even things that we cannot see. So knowing this, that you are indestructible, your true nature, what else might you let go of? So that you might be able to remember that more fully. I'm going to shift you over to Mo. Stay in your Shavasana and she'll bring you and she will be reading you a sweet poem.
So stay right where you are, connected to the earth. I hear the call of midwinter, the call from deep within the sleeping earth. I descend into darkness, knowing that it will hold me and return me to myself. I visit this place each year, and I stay in its embrace, sleeping, dreaming. I feel the spirit of the past ones. They're with me. And I remember them in quietness within the cave of my heart. What will I bring forth from this underground? What seeds are germinating within? Later, the new green shoots of myself will stir and rise. But now I sleep, and I celebrate the darkness, and I call for the return of the sun. So before you make your way back up to a seated position, return to the solstice breath, the full inhale with the pause, and the exhale. And remember, way back thousands of years, the ancestors also celebrated this event. And even now globally, at Stonehenge and Chichen Itza and all over, the celebration of the return of light is happening. And we are part of that. So when you're ready, start to stir yourself awake. Make your way up to any seated position that serves you. And take your time getting there. Once you arrive, let's reach the fingers out to the side. And one last time. Inhale, above. Exhale to the heart, as below. Kristi and I so appreciate you connecting with us. We're so joyful and appreciative of your energy and your willingness to share with us. So namaste. Thank you, one and all. If you would like to donate to this event, you can do so on the front page of our website. I forgot to say that in the beginning. Kristi and I will share equally what is donated, and we keep it as donation because in these times, some people can only just show up and some people can give a little more or less. So we have no idea who that may or may not be. So again, blessings to you on this holy day. So holiday evolves from holy day, the holy day of the winter solstice. And again, thank you so much. Namaste. And Kristi, I love you. Thank you for collaborating.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining.
Everybody.
Thank you, Kristi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy winter solstice. Happy return of the light.
Yay.
Thanks,
Thank you. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Happy solstice. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you.
Remember to support local.
Yay.
Hugs. Hugs, everyone.
Namaste from Chico.
Hey, Chico. Thanks for joining.
Who's that, Lori?
It's
Yeah, that's
Chico.
Lori Meeker. Her dog is Chico. He comes to yoga all the time.
Chico's the mascot.
Yes, he is.
There he is. Love you.
Thank you.
15 people disappeared when the lights blinked.
Yeah, sorry about that light flicking thing.
Yep.
Love
You
you.
say Memish?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll get that. You want me to say hi?
Hi.
You can say hi.
So-
Thank you so much, Bo. Thank you. It's a pleasure, always.
Oh, there you
Screaming now.
Tell her it's Maria.
It's
Oh,
Maria.
hey, Maria.
Wow, hi.
There's
Blessings. Solstice blessings.
Yay. My
Well,
power
thanks.
flicked a lot. So I was like, oh no.
Yeah, we blinked a lot here too.
Well, thank you, Kristi. That was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Mo and Jerry. That was awesome. Great
Okay,
job.
Kristi,
And your
stay on a little
setting
bit.
is beautiful with the Christmas tree and the candles.